I'm Candace, the Cool2Craft Creative Play Muse, and today I'm at Mrs. Kavanaugh's Chocolates with Lorraine Kavanaugh, and we're going to talk about chocolates for a minute before we get into making polymer clay chocolates. Lorraine, what's the most popular chocolate?
The Mindy Mint Truffle would be our most popular one.
The Mindy Mint.
And that it's named after Mindy, who is the oldest granddaughter.
Wonderful.
So she's 34 years old. That's how long the Mindy Mint has been around. It's our version of a truffle.
Oh.
So that it comes in both light and dark.
Oh, yum.
Otherwise, the next most popular is going to be the caramel, of course.
Oh, yes. Caramel's my favorite.
Cavalier, which is a turtle. Nestle Pat is the name of the turtle.
Oh.
And so we call them the Cavalier.
Cavalier.
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite part about being in the chocolate business?
Probably making other people happy by selling chocolates to them.
And you do?
And chocolate is a very therapeutic, something that we need in our lives.
It really is. I think that's why I'm drawn to making chocolate arts.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Oh, I'm going to buy some chocolates so that we can go home and make some that look like it. Well, I'm going to need a... Thank you so much, Lorraine. And I'll see you back at the studio. Oh man, I love that store. Mrs. Kavanaugh's has excellent chocolates. So let's look at our finds. We have the Mindy Mint. It's a typical rectangle chocolate and a round chocolate. Not as round as a chocolate covered cherry would be, but it's a round with fondant in the middle. I think it was key lime. One more. Classic caramel, a squarish shape. That's easy to do. Okay, so for this tutorial, we're going to learn a couple of different ways to make polymer clay chocolates look just like real chocolates. So let's begin. If I'm making a large chocolate box piece, I'm going to want my chocolates to be uniform size. So I made these slump molds from excess clay, and you'll notice that they're a little bit smaller than the pieces that you'll mold over them because you want a good thick shell for your chocolate. So let's see how we do that. I like to take a piece of tissue paper and put it over the mold, and then I'll take a piece of chocolate, polymer clay, and I'll lay it over top, and then I'll start to mold it down. I'm pulling on it a little bit, so you don't really want to start with a very thin piece because it wouldn't stand up to this kind of working. Okay, and then I'm going to take my tissue blade and start to cut away some of the excess. And you'll probably have to do this a couple of times because it will continue to stretch. Alright, but that's about where I want to be. So now I'm going to take it off of the slump mold, and I can remove my tissue paper, or I could ball it up inside there. That would work too. And then I'm going to cut a little more off of this side here, and then I'm going to hold up the chocolate, and I'm going to cut a little bit out of the corner, just like you would miter a corner. And I'm going to take that little piece out and stick it together like that. Now you can see it's almost a whole corner, a neatly constructed corner. And you'll do this with the square one as well. And just cut that little bit out and blend the edges together. If it gets a little out of whack, it's easy enough to go back and reshape it. There's 3 corners and one more. And I'm just taking a little pie wedge out of the corner so that I have something to join. And then you'll smooth it. And it's almost perfect, and I think you'll see that if I put it in a box that you don't see the bottom. Oh my gosh, that looks like a delicious chocolate already. Now you want to think about how you might want to decorate them. I like jewels on mine, so I probably would flatten this out just a little bit more. I'd want to try the jewel in the place. Sometimes I might like to make a depression in it so that the jewel will be nestled down in there. Sweet! There's one. Another method I use is making a solid core out of aluminum foil for the chocolates, especially if they have an odd shape. This one's going to be a heart shape. So I'm just going to begin by loosely crumbling the foil up into the shape of a heart. And I'll make it a little more solid as I get closer to the shape. But you get the idea. Just as in the slump mold, you do want your center to be a little bit smaller than you want the actual chocolate to be. Here's my little heart. Alright, I'm going to compact the surface and smooth it by rolling it on the table. Yay! And then I'm going to round out the top pieces a little bit using the leverage of the table again. Alright, that's kind of a funky, cool looking heart. So, next I'm going to take this piece of milk chocolate colored clay, which I hand mixed, and I'm going to squish it flat, like I said you could do with the slump mold as well, because even if it's not even, when you go to put it on, you'll be able to even it out by rolling and smoothing. So this way the core stays in the middle. So I can wrap it right around the bottom. And I can smooth that on the surface of my paper. I can smooth it with my hands. Smoothing and forming. The back certainly does not have to be covered unless you want your piece to be something that would be seen from all different sides. And here again, I would consider what kind of surface treatment I'm going to give it. If I want something that's going to be nestled in it, I might want to make a depression, or I might even want to cut some out so it can be recessed. Alright, will that fit in our chocolate box? Oh my goodness, it does. Look at that lovely chocolate looking heart. Yay! The third way that I sometimes make chocolate is solid. Although I don't usually do it that way because really it's a waste of clay. You really don't need to have it solid. But what if you wanted to push it into a mold? You could mold it with your hand, and then if you were going to do that, you could also, I don't know, take a bite out of it and have the chocolate be something that's missing a bite, and you could even hollow that out a little bit and maybe show the edge of a chocolate covered cherry. But that's for another time. For this method, I'd like to show you how to push it into a mold. And it's pretty much the same way that you would see any kind of a polymer clay mold being used. I want to make a moon face chocolate. Now I know that this is going to be a little bit too big to fit into my box, but that's okay. That's what I would like to do. So I'm just going to push it in. I'm going to give it a little extra, and I'm going to try to keep the chocolate from overflowing the sides of the moon because I want it to be all about the moon and not about the background. so cute. So I'm going to continue smoothing out the background so it doesn't show. Oh, this is so yummy looking. I want to eat it now. Alright, there's the last chocolate. You will discover if you use this kind of a container or the small paper chocolate cups that you can hide a multitude of sins and imperfections just by setting it inside of there, because you just don't see the rough edges or the bottom of it. And now, I think I need to eat a chocolate. Oh, that is so good. Thanks for visiting my studio. I hope you had as much fun as I did making these polymer clay chocolates. I know you're not having as much fun as I am eating these chocolates. Oh. Stay crafty, my friend.